what on earth is going on inside our prisons when somebody who has been convicted of a heinous crime like this is able to access cooking materials and then attack prison officers? You've got to wonder what privileges are being given to people like that and why they should be even allowed near things that could be used as weapons against the people looking after them.
I mean, Alan, and Jim Chowdhury, what do you make of the fact that they clearly put all the Islamists in one area together? Because there is an argument that you corner them off so they don't infect the other inmates. But it also could be a bit of well, it's a bit of a danger, isn't it? Because they can plot together, as is being insinuated by this report.
So the question, unfortunately, you're asking, Emily, is two sides of the same coin, because already we have an epidemic of Islamist radicalization in prisons, and that's happening because you are seeing gangs, sort of emerge and force other prisoners to join Islam in this sort of way within the prison context, and that's happening without these prisoners being accessible, the really hardcore Islamists being accessible to ordinary prisoners. So, in a sense, they do need to be separated. They're very dangerous people. Yes, you're right. There is a question about whether they should be allowed to plot with one another. And that surely tells you that the conditions are far too lenient for these very dangerous security risks within even the separation area. But certainly we don't want to see them thrown back into the general population. That would be a recipe for even more chaos, given the problems we're seeing with the general prison population right now.
I mean, is it just a simple issue of capacity, that we don't have the capacity to put every single Islamist in isolation? Because it seems that we've got just so blooming many of them.
Well, it is A, capacity, that's a problem. B, it is also the fact that there's a growing population in terms of radical Islamists in prisons, and that is in itself a cause for concern. It is hardly plausible that in some prisons, I saw a figure Robert Jordan was quoting, that in one prison 45% of the inmates are now are now Muslim or had converted to Islam. Now that is a bizarre statistic when you consider the Muslim population of this country is 6.5%. So something's going very badly wrong within prisons anyway, because not to say that prisoners can't obviously find some kind of faith there, but radical Islam is not the faith you want prisoners to be finding. And there's obviously a problem within the context of sort of various prison stewardship schemes allowing this to happen. So yes, it's a capacity problem. B, it's also that authorities have been too lenient to allow this kind of conversion to take place. And that is in itself why I think we're having these problems.
Now, Alan, most people will recognise Anjem Choudhury for obvious reasons, but apparently in the prison, this is according to The Sun, they've spoken to various sources, they believe that Choudhury was described as the daddy of the separation unit, that he encouraged Obeidi to carry out this attack. They're now investigating those claims. And while this attack was going on, he was in the gym, apparently, with two other convicts. Just remind us who Anjem Choudhury is and why he's locked up in this security unit.
Well, Anjem Choudhury has, of course, been in prison twice. This is his second go-round, because, of course, originally he was in charge of various radical Islamist groups who were prescribed. He then trod a very careful line for many years, trying to avoid being sent to prison, but eventually got caught out in basically inviting support for ISIS. He went to prison, he came out of prison, and then managed to breach his term by again inviting support for terrorism in this sort of way. He's now gone back in for 28 years. He's not going to come out, basically. It's the reality of the situation. Why is he the granddaddy? It is reckoned that over the course of his 30-year radical Islam proselytizing campaign, he's been responsible for, dozens of terrorists who've come under his influence and have then committed crimes because of the teachings he has espoused. So he's a very serious Islamist and somebody who clearly has very charismatic powers and has convinced many people to go down this path over time. And that should really mark him out as a very dangerous man. Yeah. So the idea that he is frequenting, with other prisoners is a big problem.
Just don't understand why he wasn't in isolation.
Right, if this the entire history of this man is convincing low IQ people to go and blow themselves up, I mean, what on earth is he doing mixing with two other people in a gym inside a prison? I mean, this sounds more like a resort than a prison to me. If he's wandering around with friends of his, going to the gym, I mean, that's what people pay to do outside of prison.
Plotting terror attacks.
I've got news for you. It's not just a gym. They had cooking facilities, which is of course where Obedi causes problems. They play video games as well, Tom. So I'm sorry to say that this is rather a cushy number. And I think what this shows is that prison authorities at the very top level, when it comes to serious offenders like this, people who will never be de-radicalized, they are being given far too easy a ride in prison. I'm all for rehabilitation of low-level offenders to try and stop them from reoffend again. These people do not need rehabilitation. These people need punishment.